Everyone dreams about it. The land of the rising sun. The place where our favourite cars were born. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Visiting Japan as a car enthusiast is not as simple as you think. Because while the photos look perfect, the reality is, if you don't plan this trip properly, you waste days, miss the good stuff, and spend hundreds on things you didn't need. I went last year, spent 2.5 weeks completing my dream trip of Japan. I visited Mines, HKS, Spoon Sports, even went to the Nismo Festival, did a whole bunch of model car shopping. I rented my dream R34 GTR. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you every single thing that I wish I knew before I went, the things that I will go back and gladly do again, and also the things that I really would have loved to know. If you're new here, welcome aboard. My name's Pat. This is 2PJZ, and if you're a returning viewer, it's very good to see you. Let's get stuck in. I dreamt about Japan for years. I grew up obsessed with Initial D, Gran Turismo, Option DVD, and everything to do with Japanese car culture. But it wasn't until I finally booked that flight, landed at Haneda at 5 AM, and saw the Tokyo skyline glowing, that it hit me. I wasn't just in Japan. I was in the home of car culture. My goal was to see it all, the iconic tuning shops, the mountain passes, and the scenes I'd only ever seen through a screen. But what I didn't expect was how many mistakes I'd make along the way. So let's start with those, because they'll save you the most time, money, and stress. Mistake number 1. Thinking that everything is really close together. The most important thing to know about going to Japan for cars is that Japan's car culture is spread literally from the top of the country right down to the very bottom. For example, places that I went, you've got Spoon Sports, which is quite easily accessible from Shibuya Station in Tokyo. Mines looks like it's in Tokyo. It's actually in Yokosuka, which is about a 2 or 3 hour drive depending on traffic from the center of Tokyo. The HKS factory is at Mount Fuji, which is 3 hours from Tokyo. Of course, you have all the shops in Osaka. You have places in the northern regions, places in the southern regions. You can even go to Hokkaido for some car stuff. It's endless. And honestly, I crammed all of my stuff into the trip. I planned it to a T, and I know that that's why I got the most out of it, is because you really have to plan ahead. And that leads me to mistake number 2, which is booking too late. If you book your trip too late, you will miss out. Things like the Omashiro rental car, which is where I went through for my R34 rental. I had a great experience with those guys. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was. I sent a lot of business their way since I've been doing all my Japan reels. That books out literally months in advance. And the one tip that I have for you, if you want to do something like renting an R34 GTR like I did, or some other JDM hero car, is book that as soon as the bookings go live. I believe bookings open 60 days in advance. So if you want to book a car, you literally have to log on, if it's one of the popular ones, and go there at midnight and book it straight away, which is exactly what I did with the R34 GTR, and that's how I got it. Even things like Nismo Festival, which sadly isn't happening again this year in 2025. Hopefully it returns for 2026. You don't necessarily need to book for that. We rocked up and just paid at the gate. I think you can get some discounts online, and there are also some other things online like the garage sale where you buy GT500 race parts and JGTC used parts from the cars that I didn't know about, that I could have got a ticket to before the event. So, you know, as much as I researched this, there is still learnings for me to take away even. And the third mistake is something that I see a lot from people, and that's assuming that tuning shops are open all week. Some of them are open Tuesday to Thursday, some of them are open Monday to Friday, some are open Saturday to Tuesday. It really depends on where you're going and what you want to see. And Google Maps isn't necessarily the most reliable source for finding out when tuning shops are open. Some require appointments to even go and look, and I think my biggest advice for tuning shops is do the courteous thing and either email or reach out via social media to let them know you're coming in advance. I did this with Mines and Spoon Sports, and I think that's what actually helped me get into the upstairs section of Mines and have a private tour of the engine room. Not obviously guaranteeing that that's going to happen to you. I might have just got lucky and caught them on a good day, and I happened to just be fully kitted up in my Mines stuff, and they could tell I was a super fan because it's my favorite tuning shop. But do the right thing, because they have a whole lot of dickheads coming in doing the wrong thing. These things might sound really basic to you, and I hope that they do. I hope these are things that you're already considering, but it's just worth remembering that Japan is a country that is built on respect, and that is such an ingrained part in their culture. And the best thing that you can do is be as respectful as possible everywhere you go, not just to car stuff, but when you are doing the car stuff, they get so many foreigners, particularly white people, that come in, and it really puts a bit of a stain on the rest of us gaijin. So you've got to make sure you're trying to do the right thing. And when I got back from my trip, I put all these things down. I wrote them into this big document, which has actually become what I now call my Japan car culture playbook. It's got everything that I learned from my trip inside it. The link's in the bio. We'll talk about it a little bit more later. Now I want to chat about Daikoku PA. This is perhaps the single most common thing that I get asked about in all of my short form content, all the Daikoku videos that have done millions and millions of views on my Instagram and TikTok. The one thing that I get asked about Daikoku PA is, can I just catch public transport there? The short answer is no. Daikoku PA is in the middle of a highway. It's a very, very intricate bridge system. It looks absolutely crazy. You can look at it on Google Maps if you've never seen it before, or you can watch my YouTube video up here or any other videos on YouTube showing you how crazy Daikoku is. There are a few people in my comments who have said that they've taken taxis down there. Sure, that might be viable, but most of the time, if you get a taxi there, if you don't slip the driver, say $100 US or something to wait, they're most likely just going to leave, and then actually getting a taxi back is very, very difficult. If you even want to try and order an Uber, that's quite challenging. You can walk there from a train, I've heard. I haven't looked into this too much, but my best advice is to just rent a car. And if you can, plan your visit to Daikoku around some other driving that you might want to do. You don't have to rent a super cool car. Like, I literally went down to Daikoku in probably the single most embarrassing car that I could have, and that was a blue Nissan March. Perhaps the most embarrassed I've ever been rocking up to any form of car event. And you can just park away at the back. There's plenty of normie cars. You know, it does actually contribute to one problem that's happening at Daikoku at the moment, which is white people, and I suppose I was part of the problem, coming down in rental cars and sort of killing the culture and the vibe. But just go there, same thing as always, be respectful, enjoy it. I was hoping it would be a bit cooler than when I was there. I think sadly we've potentially missed the really, really peak era of Daikoku. I'm withholding my judgment entirely until I can go there on a Sunday morning, because apparently Sunday is great. That's when they have a cars and coffee type event. So there's a lot more variety, supercars, you get the mixing with the JDM stuff, you get plenty of Porsches, really cool wild builds, really rare cars that come out, which is right up my alley. You can also go to Daikoku on a Friday or Saturday night. There is a big risk of it getting shut down by police, so check that out before you go. Do a bit of research. I didn't choose to go on a Friday or Saturday because I didn't want the risk of getting down there, driving all the way there, paying the tolls, which aren't cheap, and then just having the whole thing shut down and having to go back to the hotel. Specifically because I spent about 150 Australian dollars on a rental car for this night to go down. And I did that through Nissan Rental Car, which I also talk about in my playbook. For something even cooler, I have an R34 GTR, and it's about 35 minutes. Oh. Wow. The next part about the Japan car culture experience is, of course, the driving roads. You've probably seen it in Initial D or video games that you might have played, but driving Hakone Turnpike and Skyline is something that I cannot recommend higher. We took the R34 GTR that I hired up there. That thing was beat, man. It had like 460,000 kilometers on it, but that was genuinely one of the single best automotive experiences that I think I'll ever have. Driving my dream car in the dream color up the best driving road that I've ever been on. But you're literally driving a road that feels like it was sculpted in a video game. You have to pay cash on tolls if you go up that way, so make sure you bring some cash with you. You can take notes or coins, but they don't take card at the Hakone Turnpike and Skyline tolls, so don't get caught out when you go up there. The next part, of course, is the tuning shops. This is perhaps my favorite part of Japanese car culture. It's what got me into Japanese cars in the first place. Shops like Mines, I've got the Mines 1 to 18 Otto car here. Mines is my favorite tuning shop of all time. Going to Mines, just like Hakone Turnpike, was, I think, in my top 5 automotive experiences of my whole life so far. It was awesome. I cannot recommend it enough. And I think the reason why I had such a good experience there is because I emailed them in advance, told them who I was, a little bit about me, why I was coming, and I got very lucky to see the N1 R34 GTR demo car there, which was only there because they were coming back from Nismo Festival, and Nismo Festival was a couple of days prior. That car's only made a few public appearances since it was rebuilt by Built by Legends a couple of years ago. And I was lucky enough to see that, and not only see it, but actually sit in that car. And I talked with the team about the car, which is really special because that's the car that got me into cars in the first place. Literally watching videos of that car on Best Motoring is why I love cars now. And again, you can watch that video up here. You can open it in a new tab to click on after. Some shops might not want you to visit though, and you have to be okay with that. I thankfully didn't have experiences where I've been turned away, but I know that some people have. So just make sure if you do go in and they say, hey, sorry, look, we're too busy today, or we don't allow walk-ins, that's fine. You'll find something else to do. Lastly, of course, there's the events. As I mentioned before, sadly, Nismo Festival has been cancelled for 2025, but that was a highlight of our trip. It's why we actually went to Japan. Well, it's not why, but it's what we centered our trip to Japan around in the first place. I would highly recommend picking an event. It might be Tokyo Auto Salon, although flights are incredibly expensive around Tokyo Auto Salon time. It could be WECFest. Ars Meeting is by the GDR magazine. Ars Meeting is a GDR specific festival that happens usually on the last Sunday of October every year. That's what I really wanted to go back for this year, but sadly with my day job that I still do, I couldn't make it work. So that's one that I'd really recommend. It's something that I am going to do next year, and I'm putting it on the record, and you can hold me to this if I don't do it, but I'm going to Ars Meeting in 2026, and nobody is going to stop me this time. I've been wanting to go since I was like, I've got you can't see them, but on this shelf back here, these are like 8 copies of GDR magazines from Ars Meeting, and they have a big owners file that after every single event, they put all the cars and all the people who attended the event into an owners file. And I've been collecting those. I think I've got them back to like 2017 plus some other GDR magazines. I am going, and I highly recommend you do too. But Nismo Festival was the next best thing. But the best thing about the events, I think, as well, is obviously the tuning displays and race cars and everything are just absolutely next level. Seeing those cars drive around Fuji Speedway will make me a happy man forever. It's just still things that I keep thinking about now. But you have to go check out the car parks too, because Japan's car culture is still so alive. There are still so many people driving such cool cars. I even saw like an R34 GTR S-Tune in the car park of Nismo Festival. And that's even before I got into the event and saw Fuji Speedway for the first time. Like, you think of the S-Tune and how limited they were. I could go on about that and make a whole separate video about how much I nerded out at Nismo Festival, which is why I did. I've got part 1 and 2 of Nismo Festival on the channel. You can click up here again, open that in a new tab, and watch this playlist for all my other Japan videos. Fuji Speedway is in the flesh. Oh my God. Now ultimately, I highlighted these 4 things because these are the moments that made me fall in love with Japanese car culture. Back from when I was a teenager to now, like, these are the things that make it so special. You know, like, this is why we love it so much. And I wanted to make sure that every car person who goes to Japan can go there and have a good time and not have to worry about the stress of planning, which can actually put some people off even going on a holiday. And I feel so passionate about my love for Japanese car culture and the community that I spent months after I got back from Japan building my playbook out. The whole point is planning a trip to Japan is incredibly difficult. You've got such limited time, but there is so much to do that you could fill every single activity with car stuff. I went with my partner Erin, who thankfully is very happy with me doing car stuff, but at the same time, I didn't want to just do car stuff every day because I probably would get sick of it. And I put together a free Japan Starter Guide, which has been downloaded now by more than 3,000 people. And I've been sent photos from people in Japan or had messages from people who have actually used it and done things that they otherwise wouldn't have thought of, which is just the coolest thing. And then I've also got a couple of paid things to help me create better content, to help me grow this business. I wanted to offer as much value as I could. So the full Japan car culture playbook with everything that I learned from my trip, all of my planning. It's got the real itinerary from Tokyo, Hakone, Osaka, Hiroshima, along with 7, 14, and 21 day sample itineraries that I put together based on the length of your trip, because I know that not everyone's going to get to go for 2.5 weeks that I did. You might only be going for a week, or you might be going for a bit longer than I did. I also put together, it's probably my favorite part of the whole thing, my personal map that I've been building since I was about 15 years old on Google Maps, where I've saved pins every time I've read a Speed Hunters article, every time I've watched a YouTube video, when I was in Japan and I found these random little places. Over 60 pins that I personally use and I personally update all the time into a Google Maps link that you can download straight into your Google Maps. So you've got 60 places without even having to research yourself that you can go to, and it's a live document. So as I add more to it, when I go back to Japan, it will continuously be updated. There's also driving routes. I've got, again, my Google Maps route for the Hakone Turnpike and Hakone Skyline route that I took, including where I went, because I started in Chiba, which is where the Omashiro rental car office is. Then we went to Hakone. Then after Hakone, we went to Daikoku PA. So it's got that whole route in there. There's driving day guides, things that I wish that I knew. I even drew up some different routes that you can take when you go to Japan. And along with that, there's a rental car guide. So everything you need to know about renting, not just super cool cars, like cars from Omashiro or other rental car companies, but also normal cars, like the Nissan March that I had, is how to do that, where to find the best deals, and things that you should be aware of before you go. There's also budget breakdowns and planners, and that's just scratching the surface of what's in there. If you use the code JAPAN5, because you've made it this far in the video, you'll get a further $5 off. Everyone who supports 2PJZ, whether it's supporting Stay Driven, buying one of the digital products, it means so much. If you have used one of my guides, if you have gone, or if you haven't, thank you. If you have used my guides, please make sure you go to the Gumroad site and rate them. It helps with the social proof and helps convince people that the guide is right for them. In summary, visiting Japan as a car enthusiast is something that I cannot recommend higher. It reminded me when I went there exactly why I started 2PJZ, to be able to tell the stories of why we fell in love with cars in the first place. And if Japan's on your bucket list, just please, please, please go. You'll never forget hearing the sound of an RB26 on a cold night at Daikoku PA, fanging it up Hakone Turnpike, meeting your favorite tuning shop director like I did when I met Nakura-san from Mines, going somewhere at sunrise and just feeling that crisp air or that warm air depending on when you go, and just being in Japan, all the konbini food. It's just so deeply ingrained in the culture, and people love their cars there. They just really, really, really do. I hope this video has helped you in some way. If it has, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've got a big goal of trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I've got 2 months and I'm not even halfway there yet. I've got to keep pumping out some more videos. I want to keep building up this channel, do some cooler stuff. I want to go back to Japan, so if you subscribe, you'll keep up with the journey and you'll be able to see what we're up to next. Again, the link is in the bio for the Japan Car Culture Playbook and my free guide as well if you just want to start with that. So head down there, check it out. I appreciate your support in all that I do. It really does mean a lot. Thank you for your time. My name's Pat. You've been watching 2PJZ. Never forget to stay driven, and we'll see you in the next one.